everybody, it's Jimmy. Today I'm going to share with you this little tool that I made. Actually, I kind of stole this design. And what this is it's a tool for setting up your mortises and tenons for the chuck for your wood lathe. Now, here at Stuart Arts, we refer to this as the part number BZ63942/Bravo-1.9. But you might want to just call it your go, no go gauge. So why did I make this thing? Well, you know, when I first started turning and I got my first chuck here, you know, what I would do to size my tenon is I would use a pair of calipers and I would measure this dimension of my my G3 chuck here, and then I would start turning my tenon and go back and forth with it until I finally had it where it needed to be. And sometimes I see people doing this and they have these metal calipers and they're putting it on their piece while it's moving. And so I felt like that was not a super safe thing to do. So I'm just going to demonstrate real quickly how I use this thing, and then I'm going to just share some of the thoughts you go through in figuring out how to size this thing. So this little notch right here is for making your tenons, and then this piece on the top is for sizing your mortise. So I'll just demonstrate that quickly. Yes. Okay, we're turning a tenon here for a Nova G3 chuck. So we'll just turn this down until it fits into this notch. There we go, that's good. So the Nova has a little edge here that grabs onto your wood. So to make sure you have a good connection with the tenon, what I do is I'll just take my skew chisel and I'll just make a little indent here, just a place for that chuck to grab onto, and make sure that I have a real good connection. We've cut the tenon here, and just open up the jaws of the G3, and I'm just going to push this in so that it's flush, and then I'll just go ahead and take that down. Now, to make sure I've got this thing centered, I'll run my live center up into the chuck to make sure that it's as well aligned as it can be, and then I'll take it and I'll turn it down a little bit. Tighten the other side. It's important to tighten both sides of the chuck. Okay, so we are on the tenon at this point and ready to cut a mortise in this end here. And I just have to tell you that my cameraman, Skip, came up with an idea. He said, to help you get that thing centered, why don't you put a line on there and then kind of put that towards your center, and that'll help you find your mark. And I said, Skip, that's a great idea. So we went over and we did a formal revision to the template here using a red Sharpie. And you'll note that we have revised the part number to Bravo Zulu 63942/Bravo TAC 1.9 Rev 1. And we know this as the skip line revision. Stop. Okay, so we're ready to go ahead and do our mortise. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to turn on the lathe, and I'll put my template down here, and I'm just making a little line here, and it's not a big problem if you make it a little oversized, but I just kind of sneak up on the dimension of this, and that is about the smallest dimension that you would want your mortise to be for the G3 chuck. Okay, and the way I do it, I've got a diamond parting tool here, and I'm just going to cut right in on the line. I'll go in, 3/16 of an inch or so. There's a lot of ways to cut your mortise. I'm using a spindle gouge here, and I'll go to a scraper and a skew to get that last little bit out. A little bit with the scraper, so that the mortise or the tenon on the chuck has a nice little inset to grab onto, and that should do it here, and that'll interface. This thing is in the fully retracted position right now on the chuck, so I'll just push this in and turn it out, and it comes out maybe 1/8 of an inch or so on the diameter, and we'll lock it right in there. So now we've got a nice mortise connection on the G3. This would be fairly self-explanatory how to make one of these. Now this is not pretty. It took me just 10 minutes to make the thing, but just to show you what I did, this is the mortise part of it, And so I just took the chuck, and this chuck is fully closed right now. And I just took my calipers and I just kind of measured a little bit over on that, and then just transfer that dimension here. So this dimension is maybe a 1/16 of an inch larger than the tenon is on the chuck when it's in the fully retracted position. So for the tenon, it's the same process. What you do is just take your chuck and just open it up a little bit, maybe a 1/16 or so, and then just measure that dimension on the inside, and that'll tell you about the size of the tenon that you want. And you come over here and you can cope that out of your go no go gauge. And so that's how I arrived at this design. I totally ripped this off from the Treasure Coast Woodturners Guild in Fort Pierce, Florida, and in particular at one of Jack Shelton's weekend meetings. He has some of these that he's made up for his chucks. And I thought it was such a good idea. As soon as I got back to the shop, I made this thing. Well, this is Jimmie saying thanks for watching, and hope you'll give me a like and a comment. And if you haven't become a subscriber to the Stuart Arts YouTube channel, let's go ahead and push that button. You won't regret it. And that's a really good tip you just gave me.